In this video, I just want to share a quick tip with you about variegated plants and their possibility of reverting. I've had this variegated Panache tiger fig in ground for 7 years now. So as you will notice here, the figs on this variety are striped. They're a green, solid base color with yellow striping. And the striping, can vary fig to fig, but you should see some stripes on your figs if you've got this variety. You'll see variegation in the bark itself, like you can see here. It's got this orangish, yellowish striping against the green. So one thing I do before the trees defoliate completely and go to sleep for the winter is I check for any branches that may have reverted back. Because as we know, variegation is a genetic mutation. And it is possible for your variegated tree, any one of these nodes, that comes out from the tree can revert back to a solid coloring. And that's actually what I found here on this one branch. So as you'll notice as I come in, you can see that the bark is a solid color here, unlike the branch right next to it that has that variegation. So that's one sign. But the more overt one is that the figs here, you can see, are all a solid green. Unlike the branch next door, where they're striped. So what happened was this node that pushed out this whole branch reverted. So this might not be a big deal if you're just growing this to enjoy the fruit, because the fruit's not going to be any different. So the concern is if I sold this cutting here as a Panache tiger, because technically it's not anymore. It's a reverted Panache tiger. And so it'd be fine for me to sell it as such, so that people would expect that. But if someone was looking for a variegated fig, this would not produce that, because there's little chance that this will ever go back to the way it was and be variegated. Like 1% chance maybe. So just want to point that out for those of you that trade cutting wood or sell cutting wood. Watch out for this phenomenon, because it does happen, especially with a tree this large. You can see this is a huge tree at this point, very mature in the ground for 7 years. And so I've got a good probably 40 branches on this tree. And this is the only branch that reverted. And it doesn't happen every year, but it can happen where you'll get a random branch that's reverted. All it takes is one node. One of my viewers reached out to me this year, had an issue that I just explained to you, where they bought a plant from a local nursery here, labeled as Panache tiger, and the fruit looked nothing like it. It was solid green, and they saw no variegation on the branch. So it's certainly a mistake that can happen, especially with big nurseries that may not notice, the detail here, but just something to look out for. And even if you're just buying a plant, look for those characteristics. The fruit should be variegated, and the wood should be as well. So the fix here for me is when I go to prune this tree is I'll just cut this whole branch out. I'll have removed that reversion point, and the tree should be back to producing variegated wood come next year. So we looked at that fig tree that reversion happened on. It can also happen on any other variegated tree. So here's another one in my yard. This is a citrus, a lemon tree, the variegated pink lemon. And we can see some weird stuff going on with this tree as well. This is what the leaves should look like, mostly green, but then you have this mottled look fringed with kind of a creamy white. And you'll get, different degrees of that on the leaves. What I'm looking out for on this tree is to see if it's gone all white, like here, where it's almost like this albino type coloring. And you can see it's pretty much consistent all the way through up to where this junction is right here, this branch junction. This side looks fine. It has the normal leaf patterns we would expect. But when this node came out, there was yet another mutation where it went all white. Here we can see a branch where it went solid green. So this one I will cut out as well, because I want to preserve the genetics of the variegated type. So far more obvious on the citrus tree here.